These are some creations I made not too long ago. And as you may have noticed, I experiment a lot with traditional art. It's something I really enjoy doing. Traditional art allows me to think with many different techniques to achieve different textures and results. But although I love traditional art, I've always wanted to try creating with digital tools. And I've tried it several times actually, especially when I was 12 years old. But I gave up every time because I got lost in all the new things I had access to. Well, at least it made me learn some basic stuff, like layering, for example. But when you see the difference between what I could make like 2 years ago on Krita and what I could draw on paper at the same time, yeah, it was pretty hard for me to stay motivated. But what I didn't understand at the time was that starting digital art is really like learning to draw from scratch. We have so many new tools and the screen can generally feel very slippery compared to paper. And of course, getting used to this just cannot happen in one day. So starting to draw digitally meant accepting to make mistakes. A lot of mistakes. Just in order to learn and improve. And that is what I've decided to finally accept today. So a few weeks ago, I finally decided to continue this adventure that I stopped when I was 12. For me, making digital artworks would be a way of opening a door to so many new possibilities in art. And it will also be my chance to realize some projects I had in mind but never could make because, well, they were digital projects. Okay, so here's the drawing I made earlier this year since I decided to try digital art again. Hey, not bad. Since then, I've watched and studied a lot to understand this tool more, and now I think it's time to practice. So yeah, digital art is not easy. I've been trying it for years, but every day I'm realizing something. I can improve, and everyone can, so I'm ready to give my best. So guys, welcome to my digital art journey. Okay. Hi guys, welcome to my world. Okay, so one thing that really kept me from continuing digital art was definitely the sketching part. Since the screen is like very slippery, especially on an iPad, and we also end up with a lot of tools, I just couldn't find myself around. So I decided that to make it work, I could choose one of my already existing sketches to trace it and continue the drawing on my iPad. I also think that it's a nice touch since it suits my preference for traditional art. Plus, I really prefer the feeling of paper when I draw. Okay, for my first drawing, I want to go simple. I don't want to be perfect. I want to try things and to experiment. So I'm not even here to do an artwork or to even finish my drawing. I just want to try things and to understand a bit more the tools that I have in front of me. So I'm just going to take a little sketch. I think I like this one. Okay, so this is my OC April or April, just go for the name that you prefer. And I think that it would be interesting to add some colors to this sketch. So one thing that I usually do when I draw on paper is that I use colors for my line art. And that's what I've tried to do right now, but I have to say that I was pretty lost with all the tools that I had. I mean, that was predictable. I really wasn't sure where I had to place the lighter tones or the darker ones, especially when I decided to add some colors. So I thought that I could just redo everything from scratch again and maybe change the colors of my line later, like at the end of the drawing. So as you can see, I went back to the black line art. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. As I said it earlier, I want to enjoy the process of making this drawing, so it's okay if I can't do everything that I want. It's just the beginning and I will learn step by step. As I mentioned, this is my OC Avril and she's the main character of a story I'm writing. Right now, I don't think that I can reveal too much things about her because even though I've been working on this story for years now, I'm in the process of rewriting everything from the beginning, so most of what I could share about her might change. What I can say though is that my story takes place in a magical world, so we can say that Avril is a wizard and she knows how to fight, or I think it's better to say that she's still in the process of learning how to fight. And this is an OC that you will be seeing a lot in my videos because she's very important to me and I love both drawing and writing about her. And if you're interested about my OC, I could make a video about her, so just let me know in the comments. Okay, back to the drawing. So before and while working on this drawing, I've watched a lot of speed drawings and I've used some references to understand a bit more the color theory and the way shadows and lights are adapting to the shape of the face. And I feel like I had to play a lot with color nuances on the skin, so it's quite complex to create a realistic result. And all of this combined with the color variations a person's skin can take on. For example, in this type of skin color, the nose and the cheeks may be a little rosier than the rest of the face. It may seem a bit complicated, but I think that it's really interesting and I just want to learn more about this. For the hair, I tried to use some new brushes and oh boy, we had access to a lot of things. And then I finally decided to change the colors of my line art to soften the contrast of the drawing. And I know that there's a tool to directly change the colors of my drawing, but I just didn't know where to find it, so I just erased the line and did it again. And for a first digital drawing, I thought that it would be okay if I just stop it there. So yeah, I think that we have the results for the first drawing. I think that it's a good start, and I've also learned to be a bit more aware of the influence that a shape can have on the placement of the lights and shadows. This is something that I wasn't necessarily noticing when I was drawing traditionally. As for areas of improvement, in my opinion, I need to work a bit more on the texture of the hair here. I think that you can see it, but I didn't really understood where I could place my lines, even though it's something I'm not usually struggling at doing in traditional art. Otherwise, there's obviously the skin, which I can do better with a good understanding of colors and shapes, even though I think I'm really proud of it at the moment. And finally, I think I could diversify the size of my strokes a little more when I draw. Here, as you can see, my lines are pretty big, and I think that I could get a much more interesting result if my lines were thinner, for example. But honestly, I'm really proud of myself. I did something I just couldn't have done like 2 weeks ago. I'm really happy, and I think that it's important to appreciate the work I have done so far. And now I just can't wait to learn some new things about digital art. Okay, and I think it's time to start another drawing. Okay guys, it has been 1 week since I've made this drawing of April, so today I wanted to continue my learning journey by starting a new one. For inspiration, I was actually scrolling in my phone gallery and I found this picture of a sketch I made for another project, and this is my OC Aliena. And for the people who follow me on Instagram, you may have recognized the project I was talking about. It's a big artwork I'm working on and I will be continuing it very soon, I hope so stay tuned if you're interested. So for this drawing, as well as being a drawing made to train me in digital art, it could also be a way for me to get a better vision of what I'd like to do for my other big drawing projects, so it's a win-win situation. Okay, so this time I already started by using a brownish tone for the line work, and I also experimented with smaller strokes for a cleaner finish. I really focused on improving the line art in this piece by following the same approach I used in my traditional drawings, and this was especially true for the hair. I love adding fine lines here and there as I feel they bring more texture and depth to the character. Okay, and now before we get back to the drawing, I wanna introduce you to the musical interlude of the video. Since I really love music, I thought that during my videos I could share with you 1 or 2 songs that I'm listening to a lot right now. So for this first ever musical interlude, I'm going to talk to you about Metric. You've probably heard of this band, or at least of one of their songs like Black Sheep, which was covered by Brie Larson in the Scott Pilgrim's movie. I just really like this band, and right now I just listen a lot to their song All Comes Crashing, so feel free to give it a listen if you're interested. Okay, back to the drawing. Here I played a lot with subtle variations in tone to create a harmonious balance with the skin. I added shadows and a touch of red to the cheeks and the lips, and I quite like the results. I've never really considered this kind of details when I was working traditionally, and I found it fun to try to understand where I could incorporate bluish or reddish tones in the skin, as it helps to define the form or to add a touch of realism to the drawing. Okay, and for the hair, I approached it as I usually do in traditional media, but this time I introduced some lighter sections with orangey undertones. I wanted to know how it would look like, and just in case this technique could be useful for future pieces. Plus, in my lore, my OC Aliena can have glowing orangey hair when she's using powerful magic, so this choice also enhances the storytelling in my illustration. And yeah, for this piece, as you can see, I really wanted to focus on the skin and the hair and also the line work. So for the clothing part, I simply used a complementary color to do the job, and I'm trying to get used to all the new tools available in Ibis Paint. As you can tell, I'm still learning, but I'm feeling more and more comfortable with them, so I think this is great. So here's the results, and hey, I'm actually proud of this one. I mean, you can see a real difference between my two drawings. As I wanted, I worked more on the hair texture, I diversified the size of my lines, and I made so much more effort on the skin rendering. I'm actually seeing improvement here, and I think that it's really cool, and this is motivating me to do more, of course. For my next drawing, I'd like to build on what I've just learned, like skin texture, hair lines, etc. Just to get more comfortable with these techniques and to improve by applying them to new situations. I also want to add a bit more challenge to my work. So far, I feel like I've mostly created colored sketches of my character rather than fully finished artworks. The bodies are often incomplete, and I haven't really worked on backgrounds, like beyond adding one or two colors. So now, with everything that I've learned, I think that it's time to push myself and create a more polished or complete work. For this drawing, I was actually working on an OC page in my sketchbook, and when I did this sketch, I found it really inspiring. It gave me some great ideas to develop digitally, and this time my character has long hair, so I'll probably have to spend more time on it. So as usual, I took a picture and went straight to Ibis Paint. So for the line, I kept it simple. I really want the colors to speak more than the line for my digital pieces. I also try to not blend too much and rather play with the transitional shades, as it adds a more realistic result to the work. The blending tool is really useful and satisfying, and it really makes us want to use it everywhere because everything starts to become smooth and 3D, but I don't want to fall in this blending everything phase. I found out that using more color nuances can really add a richer render to the drawing, so it's really interesting to do. So I just kept adding colors to make the shape, and I'm really having fun here. For those who are curious, this is my OC line, and she's a singer. I actually created her 9 years ago. Oh boy, I'm getting old. And in this drawing, she's a singer, and she comes from a different story than the one of the two characters that I drew before. And at the beginning of this story, we follow her and her friends as they train to become singers, dancers, and actors. But of course, we'll eventually see them step into the artistic life. I have plenty of stories to tell about that. So in my story, we follow 4 girls, or 4 friends, attending an art school to chase their dreams of working in the music industry, and Line is one of them. And let's just say that Line is one of the most energetic one in the group. She tries to be funny and welcoming, but deep down she struggles a lot with self-esteem since she started everything from scratch. In the art school that Line wanted to join, everyone must pass an audition to get in. So most of them already had a strong musical background. They took lessons when they were younger or grew up immersed in music. Line, on the other hand, didn't have any natural talent, but she had a determination that no one had. And that's the main reason why she got accepted in the school. But because of that, every single course became a nightmare for her because of the difficulty. And she always felt like she was lacking something from the others. But Line is a very hard-working person, and her worst fear is being expelled from the school because she's not good enough, as music is her biggest dream. So even if it's extremely hard for her to keep up, the last thing that she wants is to return to her normal and boring high school life. And she knows that if she fails, she won't have any other chance. But she knows that hard work can pay off. And she's brave. Line has very strict parents, so she had to learn how to get around that. So she became the type of person who's not really afraid of disrespecting rules if needed. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the 4 principal girls decided to form a girls' band named Space Melody. Plus, the story takes place in the future, a future where humanity has conquered Mars and lives on both Earth and the Red Planet. So that's a little sneak peek into Line's story. There's still a lot of things that I haven't revealed yet, but I'll save that for later. If you're interested, I can introduce you to the 3 other girls of the story, and more if you want in another video. I really like Line as she's a character that learned that life is not easy at all, and despite the fact that nothing pushed her into her dream, she continues to work really hard. I want this kind of character to make people want to follow their dreams. Okay, back to the drawing. You can see here that I drew a Line on a stage dress and she has a mic on. She's on stage and we can say that she's doing a kind of pose for a camera or something. And it's my first time trying to make some detailed clothing in digital art. So honestly, I'm a bit lost, but I still like it. I created a small background with some laser lighting to enhance the stage atmosphere, and of course I set it at night because the night sky is a key part of my art style. Since my first digital drawings didn't really showcase much of my personality, I decided to add elements that truly felt like me. And honestly, I don't think that I could have done any better because this piece includes a lot of things that I love, such as fashion, music, the night, and the stage. So compared to my previous work, this drawing is also a much better reflection of who I am. So here's the finished art piece, and I'm just amazed. I'm extremely happy because I didn't know I was capable of drawing like this until today. So the hair and the skin are so much better than before. Yeah, I can see that I've improved a lot, and this makes me really happy. Digital art has always been the tool that I thought wasn't made for me because I found it too difficult. But now I've made this and I improved. I just had the proof that with a good practice and a great motivation, we can achieve anything. So guys, I think that this is the end of the video. I really pushed myself forward, and even the making of this video wasn't easy. It took me months and months of work, and I just hope that this can motivate you to try something new or to improve in something that you found too hard. Because you know that if you put your mind into it, you can achieve anything. Thank you for watching, guys. This was one of my first ever video on YouTube. It really means a lot to me. You can leave a like and subscribe if you're interested about my other art projects. And I'll see you later. Goodbye.